Houston, Texas, April 28, 1967. The Armed Forces Examining and Entrance Station sits on the second floor of a federal building on San Jacinto Street, and inside it, 25 men wait to step forward when their names are called. Muhammad Ali is one of them. Outside, protesters hold signs. Inside, the air is still. Ali sits in a folding chair wearing a dark suit. His hands rest on his knees. A Navy officer stands near a doorway with a clipboard. The room smells like floor wax and old paper. No one is shouting. No one needs to. Everyone knows why the cameras are here. The officer calls names alphabetically. Each man steps forward, raises his right hand, takes one step across a white line painted on the floor. It takes 3 seconds per man. The room is not large. There are windows on the east wall, but the blinds are halfway down. Ali has been sitting here for 2 hours. He was scheduled to report at 8 in the morning. It is now past noon. A journalist from Sports Illustrated stands near the back wall with a notepad. He has not written anything in 15 minutes. Ali's lawyer, Hayden Covington, is not in the room. He is downstairs. The Selective Service has told Ali multiple times what will happen if he refuses. 5 years in federal prison. A $10,000 fine. Immediate arrest. They told him a month ago. They told him a week ago. They told him this morning. At the time, people assumed he would fold. The officer reaches the middle of the alphabet. He calls the name, Cassius Marcellus Clay. Ali does not move. The officer repeats it. Ali looks at him but does not stand. The officer makes a note on his clipboard and continues down the list. A few men glance at Ali. Most do not. The process continues. When the last name is called, the officer sets down his clipboard and speaks quietly to someone near the door. Ali stays seated. A lieutenant colonel enters. He is older, gray-haired, wearing full dress uniform. He walks directly to Ali and stops 3 feet in front of him. He does not raise his voice. "Mr. Clay," he says, "I'm going to ask you one more time to comply with the order of the Selective Service and step forward for induction into the United States Armed Forces." Ali looks up at him. He does not blink rapidly. He does not clench his fists. His voice is calm. "I'm sorry," he says. "I can't do that." The colonel nods once. "You understand the consequences?" "Yes, sir." "You've been advised by counsel?" "Yes, sir." "Do you refuse induction based on conscientious objection?" "Yes, sir." The colonel turns and walks back to the hallway. Ali remains in the chair. The journalist in the back finally writes something. Another officer approaches with a form on a clipboard and asks Ali to sign a statement acknowledging his refusal. Ali signs it. His handwriting is neat. The officer takes the clipboard and leaves. For several minutes, nothing happens. Ali sits. The other men who stepped forward are processed in another room. Someone opens a window. A car horn sounds from the street below. Ali does not look at the window. Most people thought this was theater. Downstairs, Hayden Covington stands in the lobby. He has represented Jehovah's Witnesses in front of the Supreme Court more than any lawyer in American history. He knows conscientious objection law better than almost anyone alive. He also knows that Ali's case is different. The Selective Service has already denied Ali's application for CO status. The Department of Justice has recommended against it. The appeal was rejected. Covington has told Ali that the legal path is narrow and the odds are poor. Ali's response was that he would take the odds. That was 3 weeks ago. Now Covington waits by the elevator, watching the doors. When Ali comes down, 2 federal agents are with him. They are not rough. One holds Ali's elbow lightly as they walk. Covington steps forward. Ali sees him and nods. They do not embrace. The agents escort Ali out the front door onto San Jacinto Street. A crowd has gathered. Some people cheer. Some boo. Most are silent. Photographers rush forward. Ali does not smile. He does not raise his fist. He walks to a car and gets in the back seat. The car pulls away. Within an hour, the New York State Athletic Commission suspends his boxing license. Within 2 hours, every other state commission follows. The World Boxing Association strips him of his title that night. He is 25 years old. He has not lost a professional fight. He will not fight again for 3 years and 7 months. At the time, it sounded like career suicide. What people forget now is how alone he was. The NAACP did not support him. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference did not support him. Jackie Robinson called him a disgrace. Floyd Patterson said he was hurting the cause. Joe Louis said he was confused. Major newspapers called him a traitor. A coward. A disgrace to his race. Polling showed that more than 60% of Americans supported his prosecution. Even within the Nation of Islam, there were doubts. Elijah Muhammad had supported Ali's stance publicly, but privately, some ministers questioned whether Ali was serious or simply trying to avoid the draft like thousands of other young men. What set Ali apart was not his fear of Vietnam. It was his willingness to go to prison rather than compromise, and he did not soften. On college campuses, he spoke to rooms full of white students who booed him. He told them he had no quarrel with the Viet Cong. He told them no Viet Cong ever called him the N-word. He told them he would go to jail before he would kill people who had done nothing to him. Some students walked out. Others stayed and listened. The FBI opened a file on him. It would eventually run to more than 1,000 pages. Agents followed him to lectures. They interviewed his associates. They recorded his phone calls. The government wanted to prove he was not a sincere conscientious objector but a political provocateur using religion as a shield. They wanted to prove he was lying. But Ali never changed his story. His case went to trial in federal court in Houston on June 19, 1967. The trial lasted 1 day. The jury deliberated for 20 minutes. They found him guilty on all counts. Judge Joe Ingram sentenced him to 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Ali was released on bail pending appeal. His lawyers filed immediately. The appeals process would take 4 years. During that time, Ali could not fight. He could not leave the country. He could not earn the kind of money that made him famous. He was trapped between conviction and exoneration, unable to move forward, unable to go back. He survived by speaking. Colleges paid him a few $1,000s to lecture. He talked about religion. About race. About the war. About the cost of standing for something when the government wants you to sit down. His speaking fee was a fraction of what he made per fight, but it kept him afloat. He moved between cities, staying in hotels, eating in diners, waiting for the legal system to decide whether he would go to prison. In private, he worried. His mother worried. His wife worried. His children did not understand why their father was on television but not in the ring. Friends told him to apologize. To compromise. To find a way back. He refused every time. That was the moment everything became permanent. What people misunderstand about Ali's exile is that it was not a publicity stunt. It was not calculated. He genuinely believed that stepping across that line in Houston would make him a hypocrite and a servant of a system he considered unjust. He believed that his faith required him to refuse. And because he believed it, he was willing to lose everything. His prime. His title. His wealth. His freedom. In 1968, while Ali fought in courtrooms, Joe Frazier won the heavyweight championship. In 1969, Frazier defended it. In 1970, he defended it again. Ali watched from the outside. He was 28 years old. 29. 30. The years when a heavyweight is supposed to be unstoppable. And he spent them waiting. The legal fight was technical. Ali's lawyers argued that the Selective Service had misclassified him. That the criteria for conscientious objector status had been applied inconsistently. That the Justice Department's recommendation against his CO application was based on incomplete information. The government argued that Ali was not a true conscientious objector because he had said in interviews that he would fight in a holy war if ordered by Elijah Muhammad. That statement, the government claimed, proved Ali's objection was political, not religious. The case went to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. The judges ruled against Ali. His lawyers appealed to the Supreme Court. On June 28, 1971, the Supreme Court overturned Ali's conviction. The vote was 8-0. Justice Thurgood Marshall recused himself because he had been Solicitor General when the case began. The court found that the Justice Department had failed to properly apply the standards for conscientious objection. Ali was free. The conviction was erased. But the 3 years and 7 months were gone. He had missed 20 fights. Maybe 30. No one knows how many millions of dollars. No one knows how much speed he lost. How much reflex. How much sharpness. He would fight again. He would win the title back. But the cost was already paid. People remember the comeback. They forget the price. When Ali returned to the ring in October 1970, before the Supreme Court ruling, while still under conviction, he fought Jerry Quarry in Atlanta. The fight was in Atlanta because no other state would license him. Georgia had no state athletic commission, so a private promoter could stage the fight without government interference. The arena was sold out. The crowd was split. Half cheered. Half jeered. Ali won in 3 rounds. He looked fast. He looked sharp. But anyone who had seen him before 1967 could see the difference. He was slower. Thicker. His legs were not the same. He had been training in gyms, sparring with amateurs, but it was not the same as real competition. The 3 years had aged him in ways that could not be undone. In March 1971, Ali fought Joe Frazier at Madison Square Garden. It was billed as the fight of the century. Both men were undefeated. Frazier was the champion. Ali was the exile returning. The fight went 15 rounds. Frazier won by unanimous decision. In the 15th round, Frazier knocked Ali down with a left hook. It was the first time Ali had been knocked down in his professional career. He got up. He finished the fight. But the image of Ali on the canvas, jaw swollen, legs unsteady, was broadcast around the world. He had come back. But he had lost. He would fight Frazier 2 more times. He would fight George Foreman in Zaire. He would fight in Manila. He would reclaim the championship. But every fight after 1967 carried the shadow of what he had sacrificed. The speed was gone. The reflexes were slower. The punishment accumulated. By the end of his career, Ali's speech was slurred. His hands shook. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's syndrome in 1984. Doctors debated whether it was caused by boxing or by something else, but no one could deny that the years of fighting, especially the years after his exile, had taken a toll. Some people said he should never have come back. But Ali did not see it that way. In interviews decades later, he said he would make the same choice again. That his faith was worth more than his career. That standing for something was worth more than staying famous. He said that if he had stepped across that line in Houston, he would have spent the rest of his life wondering who he really was. He said that losing his title hurt, but losing his principles would have destroyed him. He said it calmly, without bitterness. The reporters who interviewed him noted that he did not seem angry. He seemed certain. And that certainty reshaped history. When Ali refused induction, the anti-war movement was still relatively small. College students protested, but most Americans supported the war. Most black leaders supported it too, or at least stayed quiet. Ali was one of the first prominent black Americans to publicly oppose the war and tie that opposition to racial justice. He said that black men were being sent to fight for freedoms in Vietnam that they did not have in Alabama. He said that the government wanted him to kill poor people abroad while poor people at home were being killed by police. He said it on television. He said it in churches. He said it in college auditoriums. And slowly, over months and years, public opinion began to shift. By 1969, the majority of Americans opposed the war. By 1971, opposition was overwhelming. By the time Ali's conviction was overturned, the war itself was seen as a mistake. And Ali, who had been called a traitor in 1967, was being called a hero. He did not cause the shift alone. But his willingness to sacrifice everything gave permission to others. To athletes. To artists. To ordinary people who were afraid to speak. They saw that Ali had lost his title, his money, his freedom, and he had not broken. And they thought, if he can stand, maybe I can too. That is the legacy people misunderstand. They remember the fights. The rope-a-dope. The trash talk. The shuffle. They remember him lighting the Olympic torch in Atlanta in 1996, his hands shaking, his face still, the crowd silent as the flame climbed the wire to the cauldron. They remember the image. But the image only matters because of what came before. Because in 1967, in a small federal building in Houston, a man sat in a folding chair and refused to stand when his name was called. And in that refusal, he gave up everything he had worked for. And in giving it up, he became something more than a champion. He became a mirror. People looked at Ali and saw their own choices reflected. If you are afraid to speak, Ali is the reminder that silence has a cost. If you are comfortable, Ali is the reminder that comfort is not neutral. If you think one person cannot change anything, Ali is the proof that one person can change everything, but only if they are willing to lose everything first. That is not motivational. That is historical. On April 28, 1967, Muhammad Ali made a choice that destroyed his career and defined his life. He chose principle over safety. Faith over fame. Integrity over survival. And the world never forgot. The question is not whether you agree with what he believed. The question is whether you would be willing to pay the price he paid for believing it. That is the silence at the center of his story. That is the moment that matters. Not the punches. Not the championships. The choice. In a federal building in Houston, when everyone expected him to step forward, Muhammad Ali stayed seated. And in staying seated, he stood taller than anyone else in the room.